What's up guys, Manny from Motor Million, and in this video today I'm going to show you how to install an NRC Fender Eliminator on your Diavel V4 so that the rear end of your bike looks as beautiful as this one. So the kit that we offer to you guys is a complete kit because NRC has different type of kits that are not complete, let's say, because you have to buy the side mount license plate and the LED lights separately usually, but our kits are complete and they come with your turn signals, your LED turn signals that go under the tail of the bike, and your side mount license plate mount. That this either goes like this, and when you install it, you'll see that you could turn it vertically. It's kind of hard to do it when it's not mounted on the bike. And then it also comes with a wiring harness that I'm going to show you what to do with so that you keep your LED lights on your license plate to keep everything legal, but also you have the harness to illuminate these LED lights. Now that I showed you what's in the box, let's get wrenching on the bike and show you how to install it. Want us to remove these bolts from here. Next, we're going to remove our tool tray. We remove two more bolts with washers. Now the next piece is getting rid of the hugger, but don't forget when you take off your hugger, your turn signal's on here. That's why we're going to relocate them there. Now we just got to free up the harness. There you go. So it's a little tight in there, but we got this piece out. This is actually a pretty hefty and heavy piece. Let's see what the instructions say next. So now that our rear hugger is off, we just need to dissect the harness that's inside. So what we want to do is we want to remove the hugger off this bracket. Once we remove everything, our license plate hides the rest of our plugs in here. We're going to unplug everything off of here, here and here. And then I think we should be able to pull this through. There we go. So now we could get rid of this piece. We have our stock harness. It's labeled. This is our license plate light, right and left turn signals. Next, we're removing the side cover. There we go. So now we're going to grab our LED lights for the rear turn signals. And I'm going to try to put this in place like this. And then let's see how we could run the wires. So this goes like this over here. Okay, and we're just going to leave this here. Let me try to get to the harness to figure out the harness side of things. And I believe when we take off the right cover, there is a plug right here. This is the only plug that looks anything that resembles what we've taken apart so far. I'm going to unplug this. There we go. If you got the optional license plate mount, this is the Y connector that we receive. So what you want to do is you want to connect this into here and then connect the other part into right here. And from what I think, this is we're gonna run this nicely down through here and through here. I'll zip tie them after. And what I want to do is I want to connect these to the connectors of the turn signals. Let's try to test to make sure that the sides are correct because they're not really indicated right or left. So let me signal right and let me signal left, and luckily we got it right. You want to make sure you do this before you put anything away, guys, because last thing you want to do is put everything together and zip tie it nicely, then run into the issue of it being the wrong sides that are going off. So again, right and left, that's perfect. So now we could turn the bike off and let's try to see what we're doing with our routing of the cables. Now I'm putting our bolts back on. in the same sequence that we took them off. And just a little tip, guys, when you're doing stuff like this, try to make sure that you think of all the wires and what's going to show, because we're doing all this to clean up the bike. The wires down here show quite a bit right now, but what I did was that I first fed them through this plastic over here, which you'll see, and I'm going to quickly, before I tighten everything, I want to zip tie them together down there so they're running towards the middle of this fender eliminator, that when you look from behind, you don't see any excessive wires. Our Y connector was connected here, guys. That came with our license plate mount, because if you're only installing your turn signals with the fender eliminator that has the license plate mount here, you don't get this Y connector. You just use what you took off from your stock fender. But this Y connector allows us to, number one, run the signals here, but also still have a connection over here for our license plate light. And before I go any further, I'm going to use the supplied zip ties. And I'm going to zip tie these together nicely so that we could tuck it away. I'm going to zip tie it along this route here, and I'm going to leave the cables attached. I think I want to go around this piece here too, exactly like the stock harness goes. Before you connect any of your harnesses, guys, there's a lip on this end here. Make sure you push on this plastic piece from above and just slide it in like this over here. Yes, and make sure it's centered before you continue on with the installation of this piece. Now that everything is properly placed and plugged in, I'm just doing cleanup with zip ties. So the final part is our side mount license plate bracket, and this piece actually has the license plate light on it as well. The only thing is, remember, we pulled this harness off the stock fender. This still has turn signals on it. NRC doesn't say anything in their instructions, or they don't give us any kind of other harness that comes with it to utilize, but we don't need the turn signals anymore. I'm going to see if I could clean up this harness a little bit by removing the turn signal cables and just keeping this for the license plate light. There's enough room to tuck stuff away on the swing arm, but I just don't want these white things dangling around, so I'm just going to try to take this apart and see if I could do a cleaner installation. This is not in the instructions of NRC, guys. They didn't give us a harness. I wish they did, but I did go ahead and do this. I'm not going to talk about what I did. If you're electrically savvy, try to get rid of these wires, because I don't want to be responsible for it. But now this will plug into only our license plate light, which is on this end. And this will plug into the harness over here. And I want to test this. Let's put this here. If I didn't mess up, my license plate light will shine when I turn the bike on. And it does, so we're good to go. Now I'm going to grab this little spacer bracket thing that they sent for the license plate mount, and we're reusing our stock bolts that we took off the fender. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in place, and be mindful of your wiring harness piece, and as always, start a few threads by hand. Go. Our license plate mount is on, and I think this will turn like this if you want to have it sideways, and it clicks in. And you could also bring it all the way up and click it in like this. But before we call it finished, I'm going to try to clean up this wiring harness here, and then we'll be done. And that's how you install this NRC Fender Eliminator on your Diavel V4. It goes vertical like this. Now that it's installed, we can move it. And it also goes diagonal. It clicks into place so that you know it's in place, but even if you don't click it into place, it's not really going to go anywhere, because this mechanism is pretty rigid, and it's really good that it is. Also, don't forget, it has the license plate light on here that works, and our turn signals are here. And you're probably wondering why we're so adamant about using NRC products. They're made here in the US, in New York State. The after sale service is amazing, so if there's any issues that happens with them, They take care of everybody as quickly and as good as possible. But I think the number one thing for me is the element of safety. Don't forget, when we do these mods, yes, the bike looks amazing with the 245 rear tire, but for me, I want to make sure that I'm as safe as possible on my motorcycle while it looks amazing like this. And what am I saying as safe as possible is these turn signals. They are so bright, as you saw in some of the clips when we turned them on. But don't forget, it's also distanced in a way and angled in a way. Not that it just looks great, but it also lets the other people know clearly if you're turning right or left. And that's something that is often forgotten about when you're making some purchasing decisions, because don't forget, if they were closer or if they were any other way, probably they won't be as visible or as clear to other motorists on the road. But that being said, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Until next time, guys, have a good one.